very pleased to be here with Raphael Rowe. He wears many hats. He's an author, he's a journalist, he's a father.
And he's just been playing some really good football, so he's got some skills as well. At 20 years old, he was sentenced to life imprisoned for crimes he didn't commit. He has since come out, he's worked for justice, and you're here to tell your story. Thank you for being here.
Hey, you're welcome. And it's a pleasure to be here, actually, to show my skills.
Exactly. And I just want to dive right in. So
When you first went into prison, like in the first week,
what were some of the things that just completely shocked you or impacted you?
I suppose I was so shocked by the fact that I was in that environment that it didn't compute. I was 20 years old, living that happy-go-lucky 20-year-old teenage life. Yeah, it was on the edge, it was exciting, it was naughty, but what teenager doesn't do naughty things, right? So being taken out of that environment just like that was quite a shell shock. But what made it even worse, Charlotte, was that I didn't just go into a prison at 20, I went into a prison within a prison. I went into one of the most secure units in the country. In Brixton at the time, they had a prison within the prison where they kept the most dangerous, not because I was the most dangerous, but it was an environment where they kept the most dangerous. So that made it even more challenging. You know, banged up in a cell 23 hours a day at 20 years old, didn't have a toilet, didn't have a sink, didn't have any of those kind of things that you find in some prisons today. So that made it even more challenging. But it also made me a much stronger person because it hurt so much.
how did you wash or use the toilet or the shower?
I used to be allowed out of the cell, which they called in those days slop out. And it meant I had a blue plastic bucket that I would take to what they call the recess, which is a space where they had this kind of corrugated iron tray with taps. So I'd fill my bucket up with water, take it back to my cell and then hand wash. But that was also the space where I used to take my potty, my chamber pot. So where I used to pee and poo in a pot, I used to take that, empty that, you know, wash it out, put that down, pick up my bucket, fill it with water and go back to my cell. So it was all in the same, and don't forget there were 20 other guys doing the same thing. So not only did it stink, but there was always bits of excrement dripping and dropping.
So not glamorous at all?
Not in the slightest. It's not like they make Prison Break or some of these dramas these days. Far from it.
What would you say to young people who have a casual attitude to prison? They haven't been there before and they're like, oh, if it happens, it happens. Because I don't think maybe some people take it as serious as they should.
And I think the danger with that is because of others who have been to those places and they come out and they pretend that they did it on their head, or you know, it's interesting because I meet and speak to these people all the time, these young guys. I was in the Young Offenders Institution ISIS just this week meeting young guys, and they pretend that it's not quite what it is. But I bet your bottom dollar when they're behind that door they shed a tear, they cry, they suffer because they miss the things that they're used to, you know, whether it's, you know, a cuddle or a kiss, or maybe it's a bit of food that they enjoy, or a conversation with mum, dad, brother, sister at night. So my message to young people is don't be deceived by this idea that prison is something that you can cope and deal with, because you can't. You can't make decisions for yourself, you can't breathe for yourself, you can't decide when and where you go to the toilet, you can't do anything. All your decisions are taken away from you, your thoughts, your feelings are taken away from you, and they're replaced by orders, instructions, and that's really difficult. We find it difficult as kids, right, growing up, being told what to do by our parents. So all of a sudden you've got strangers telling you what to do day and night.
And how does that impact you mentally and physically?
Damages you, doesn't it? It damages you psychologically. I think there is this kind of, and people who have done a long time in prison will know this. You know somebody who's been in prison just because of their aura, the way they carry themselves, because you have this weight on your shoulders, months after months, years after years, that you never leave. And so you can see it in people, all right, not 100%, and it's not scientific in the slightest, but yeah, it leaves you psychologically, physically damaged in a way that you can't see it, so it can't be repaired. You know, you get a bruise, you get a cut, you can repair it. Prison leaves scars that are irreparable.
Wow, very deep.
Deep.
Deep. We're here at the pitch today. We can freely, play football, do sports. How much sport or exercise do you get to do in prison, and how does that impact you when you do get to exercise?
I think from my experience of being in prison, it was available. They had gyms that had gym equipment. They had sometimes spaces where you could participate in things like football. I think there's a lot more activities in prisons because there's a lot more younger people going to prison, so they need to find reasons and ways to give them to exert. For me personally, I only ever worked as a gym orderly. I refused to do any other job because, one, I was protesting my innocence, so I wouldn't conform to the regime. But I was also a footballer, so I captained the football teams. In fact, I was in a football team in a prison, Kingston, and we were called Manslaughter United.
All right.
Everybody in the team were in for murder or manslaughter. It was an all-lifers football team, and I captained that team.
That was the criteria.
That was the criteria. Well, it was a prison for lifers.
Oh, I see.
There was no short-term people in there. Everybody in this prison in Kingston, which is now closed and turned into really luxury flats. And I have this kind of picture, maybe I'll share it with you, where I'm sitting there between all of these guys who were lifers. And we played in a league where teams from outside would come in to play us. And we had blue goalposts. And we were the only football team in the country, although we were a prison football team, that were allowed to have blue goalposts because the walls around the prison were white. And so in order to see the goalpost, they had to be blue.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Manslaughter United.
So you did well.
I did. I did. Physical exercise is the biggest escape from prison. You can't physically get out, but you can escape when you're physically exercising, doing things like football. And football is the one sport I've loved my whole life, and it helped me in my years of imprisonment for sure.
So we were talking about sport. Raphael, your lovely daughter plays for Crystal Palace, and apparently you're there at every match.
Yeah, I think it doesn't last forever, right? So I try to be there to support her and her team, and I love it. I love watching her, I love cheering her on, and I'm a good dad. I'm not one of those on the sideline who screams and shouts. I'm humble and I'm quiet, and I just want to see her do well, but it does raise the anxiety levels.
It's your daughter, isn't it? Your flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And do you have a favourite goal from the season, of one of Rosie's favourite goals, Raphael?
Do I have a favourite goal? She scored a couple of important goals. I think her goal against Birmingham was a good goal because it was a nice interplay and it was a nice composed finish and shows that she has the ability to do that for her team.
Perfect. And on to you, Rosie. I've heard some great things about your football. I've been playing football with you over there as well, and you're very, very talented.
Thank you.
How important is it to have Dad there supporting you on the sidelines and encouraging you?
His support is massive. It really, really helps after bad games, good games, anything. His kind of pep talks in the car before and after are very useful, and he's my biggest supporter, so I'm grateful.
It is always nice to kind of talk through the matches, like the good and the bad. I do that with Mum as well. And something nice and fun. Do you have a pre-match meal?
Ooh.
Is there something you go to every match?
I think the night before a game, pasta, you can't go wrong. Any kind of sauce, tomato, pesto, cheese, I'll eat it. But before a game, say pancakes in the morning.
I like pancakes.
And I have a bit of a superstition. I like eating dates, but I can only have it in odd numbers. So I have one date or I have 3 dates. Can't have 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I'll pick it out the tin and it'll be like, it's got to be 3, it's got to be 1. I don't know why. Okay. It just gives me a buzz, but yeah. Dates
So
and
3
pancakes.
dates, but has to be odd numbers.
Yeah.
And is there a player you look up to now who you think, yeah, they're a great player, I aspire to kind of be like them?
I think, I wouldn't say there's one particular, but obviously I get opportunities with the first team at Palace, and I think all the women up there, they share so much wisdom, and it's really good to experience their fast-paced playing, and their technical abilities are insane. So I think all of them are great role models and something I look forward to training with.
First team football at this age, so that is very impressive. This is a very humble young lady. She needs to big herself up a little bit more. Can you tell them, tell the audience where you play, what position you play, and who you'll be playing for this season?
Cool. So I'm at Crystal Palace under 21s. I'd say I'm an attacking midfielder. However, I play a lot on the wing and up front as well. I like scoring goals. I like creating chances to score goals, running towards goal. So anything that's kind of attacking is my forte. But yeah.
Rosie Rowe, watch out for her. She's up and coming. She's scoring goals. She's humble. And I can't wait to see like where your journey takes you. Hopefully in the Lionesses one day.
Hopefully one day.
Fingers crossed. Can I ask you, can I shift gear a little bit? And your dad and I were talking about justice. If you were ruler of the world, I'm coming to you, Raphael, as well, so don't think you're off the hook. If you were ruler of the world for one day, what rule would you change or make?
You're putting me on the spot. I have to think about this one. You got one?
My rule change would start with equality. I think not just between men and women, but I think in society as a whole. I don't think it's achievable. You know, you're not going to get people from marginalised communities, whether it's here in the UK or anywhere around the globe, the same quality as you do people who can afford things. But equality would be one of those things. If I had that magic wand, ka-ching, and there's an equality all over the world. There's no rich, there's no poor. Everybody has the same to some extent. Of course, there's got to be differences, and that's my deep answer.
Yeah, his is much deeper than mine. I was going to be like, free ice cream.
Free ice cream. I guess some people will like that rule.
Yeah. No, I agree. Equality is a good one.
Okay, we'll go with equality. You don't have another one. That's perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I could ask you so many questions, but we'd be here all day. Yeah. I just appreciate you both coming here, and yeah, let's continue the fight for justice. Let's continue exercising and playing football, and we'll hopefully see you in the Lionesses soon.